Did you know people with structured routines are 33% more productive? Not because they are more disciplined, but because they face fewer distractions. In fact, research shows that when you cut down daily decision making, your brain has more energy for focus, creativity, and willpower. That's exactly what routines do. They take the guesswork out of your day. And in this video, I want to walk you through the changes that helped me build a routine I could actually stick to without burning out or feeling like a robot. To me, routine felt like repetition, stagnation, something that went completely against my natural desire for growth, freedom, and creativity. I believed that to grow, I needed variety, that sticking to a schedule meant playing it safe, maybe even holding me back. Then, one day, I came across an article about how some of the world's most successful people rely on routines, not to limit themselves, but to give themselves more freedom. Take Richard Branson, for example. He's adventurous, spontaneous, but every morning he wakes up early, works out, and plans his day. So, inspired by that idea, I set up my alarm for 6 a.m., tried journaling and a bit of meditation, and even squeezed in a cold shower once. At first, it felt great. I was productive, energized, and motivated. But then life happened. Work piled up, travel got in the way, and some days I just didn't have the energy, and that's when the frustration kicked in. Not because I miss a routine, but because I started thinking I'd failed, like I just wasn't built up for this kind of discipline. And suddenly I realized I was trying to follow someone else's routine. I picked up pieces from books, podcasts, YouTubers, but none of it actually fit me. And that's when I realized if a routine doesn't match how you naturally live, think, or work, it's never going to last. Now you might be thinking, well, when something doesn't work, we adjust. And that's true. But most of us do it reactively without a real process. So instead of forcing myself into a system, I started experimenting with some small changes that actually made sense for my life. And over time, I realized my routine was taking shape in a way that made sense to me. The ones that stuck weren't just random. They usually grounded me in something stable, gave me space to grow, and stayed flexible when life got messy. That's when I started to see a pattern, what I now call the A method. A for anchor, something that grounds you. I for improve, something you can build on. And M for modify, something you can adjust as needed. It all started with anchoring key habits. Anchoring means choosing a few simple habits that ground your day, whether it's how you start your morning, shift into work mode, or wind down at night. Instead of trying to overhaul my entire day, I started breaking my routine into smaller habits. And that shift alone removed a lot of pressure. Because routines don't fail from lack of willpower. They fail because we try to fix everything at once, or we change habits randomly without structure. But when I started thinking of my routine as a few key habits working together, it became much easier to tweak and adjust without losing momentum. And what really helped me earlier on was picking in just one non negotiable. For me, that was making my bed. It gave my morning a clean start, even if everything else went off track. I still felt like I'd done something right. On other days, I was just drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning. Super simple, but it sent a message to my brain: we are starting the day now. The key here is to anchor your day to something simple and consistent, something you already do. Because whether we realize it or not, we are always anchoring habits into our day. For example, if you wake up and scroll your phone before getting out of bed, you've just anchored distraction into your morning. But if you replace that with a stretch, a deep breath, or a small intention, that tiny shift can make a huge difference. The easiest way to build a habit is to connect it to something you're already doing. If you're drinking coffee every morning, pause and decide on one thing you'll feel good about finishing today. If you commute, use that time to listen to an audiobook or review your schedule mentally before the day begins. These small connections will help habits blend into your day without feeling forced, and that's what makes them stick. From there, I began making small improvements over time. But one mistake I kept making early on was trying to do too much too soon. I'd go from 0 to 100, and then I couldn't keep it up. For example, I tried breaking out first thing in the morning. Half the time I skip it because it just felt too much effort. So I scaled it back to just 5 minutes of stretching or movement. That made it easy for me to show up consistently, and it gave me momentum to build on. So if something in your routine drains you, improve it by asking, how can I make this feel easier to start? Or what's one small tweak that would make it flow better? That alone has made a big difference. Even things like where I put my notebook. I used to keep it in another room. Now it's on my kitchen desk, ready to go. That tiny change made it way easier to just sit down and start writing. And the last piece of this is learning to adapt your habits when life gets in the way. You get sick, you travel, you sleep off, or something unexpected throws your whole rhythm out. That's why I created a Plan B version of my routine. Something shorter, simpler, but still aligned with what I care about. So this step is about adapting without guilt, because missing a day or adjusting a habit doesn't mean failure. It just means you're staying flexible. When you miss a day, it's not the end of your routine. It's just a moment. The real progress comes from how you pick it up again. Instead of thinking, I've ruined my routine, ask, how can I still show up in a way that fits today? So, if you normally meditate for 10 minutes but you are running late, maybe it's just a minute of deep breathing before your first meeting. Or if your usual workout is 30 minutes but the day gets away from you, a quick stretch or a short walk still keeps the rhythm alive. Sometimes modifying just means doing the bare minimum, stretching while you're brushing your teeth, or jotting down one sentence instead of a full journal page. So whether you are just starting or starting over, the A.I.M method helped me build a routine that actually works because I anchored myself in small habits, I improved what gave me energy, and I modified when life got in the way. This might not be the perfect system for everyone, but it's the first one that's felt the most natural to me after a lot of trial and error. So if you're building your own version of a routine and this video helped you reflect on what really works for you, stick with me, there's more coming. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.